It's Karanda with Carvel Digital, and I'm going live today mostly because I want to talk about Bootcamp, Content Bootcamp. And Content Bootcamp is our flagship program. It's for mission driven, service based business owners. And in that program, we teach you how to use content to sell your service so that you can begin to market and scale and get out of the cycle where you're marketing and you're hustling for clients, and then you get those clients, and then while you're serving those clients, your marketing dies because you don't have time to show up every day on social or what have you. So that is a cycle that many service-based business owners find themselves in, and really the only way to break out of that cycle is to be able to reproduce yourself digitally right, um so that you can have assets that market for you even when you're busy serving your clients or living your life as some people aspire to do. So I wanted to go live in case some of you are available and wanted to hop on and have questions. So feel free to post your questions while I'm chatting here. But I'm just going to go through a little bit about why boot camp exists, how it started, who it's for, who it's not for, what the heck we do inside of boot camp, and how you can find out more and potentially get involved. Our next cohort is starting in a little less than 3 weeks. So I wanted to do just an updated version of this. So let's get into it and talk about some origin story. um, so content bootcamp, I started my at least my entrepreneurial career as a web developer. So I started out making $500 WordPress websites like you do. And that was in January of 2013. So it's been a minute. And I figured out pretty quickly that websites, if you just kind of create them and stick them on there and you don't do anything, it doesn't really help people. So I started really thinking about what is online marketing? How does online marketing work? Where does the website fit into that? What else do you actually have to do? And as I went on that journey and started to learn more and more about it, I realized, email marketing is a huge part of it. Content marketing is a huge part of it. Some of you might know that as blogging, which is one way of doing content marketing. Social media, of course, plays a part, but we don't own social media. Those aren't our platforms. And I'm really big on you having content in the places that you own so that you have control of it, so that you're not cut off. I was reading just earlier today about people whose accounts have been shut down or temporarily suspended and all that kind of nonsense. So we don't want to share crop, right? That's never really worked out for us. So we want to make sure that you're putting content on assets that you own. And so the more I learned about this, I started to raise my prices and I started to talk about websites differently. And that helped up to a point. But also, what I found is that when people come to you and their goal is they want a website, like they may or may not be flexible and willing to listen to you about the things that are going to make that website successful. And so I was coaching these business owners through this process and trying to set them up, for the best success possible. And some of them really just didn't want to hear that. They were like, I hired you to code the website, just put it up and be done with it. And I got so frustrated with that eventually I decided, you know what? I'm just going to cut that off. We're not going to do that no more. I'm just going to sell, what's in here. I'm going to sell my knowledge of how do you actually use the internet to get clients. And so that's when Content Bootcamp was born. And that was January of 2019. So December 2018, I was like, okay, I'm done with that. We're moving on to this. And I got my first few clients in January of that year. So it's been almost 3 years now that we've been doing this. Um, so um, it started out really well in terms of the success that clients were having. I didn't have very many clients, which was kind of cool because I was able to really deep dive with them into what were their challenges that they were experiencing, and really help them get results. And what I found is that when people come to you as a coach or a mentor, they showed up differently than when they were coming and I was going to be doing things for them, right? When you come and it's really clear, like, hey, I'm not here to do this for you. It's your business, it's your responsibility. And so they showed up being ready to implement and being willing to get uncomfortable and do some of the things that I was telling them to do, and then getting results, right? And it gets a lot less it gets a lot less uncomfortable when things start to work and you're getting the results you want, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can go live on Facebook. I can send an email. These are not like huge, jumping off a cliff risks that we're asking people to take, but some people struggle with like showing up in their business. And so that was going along really well. And then what happened about 9 months into implementing and running Content Bootcamp is all of the technology stuff that used to be the sole focus of my business started to matter to my clients because I was telling them strategies that they could use. I was telling them about technology that they could use to start to, automate some of their processes and do some of these things. And they realized, oh, you know what? My technology actually doesn't support this. So at that point, they came back and they're like, "Hey, our tech kind of sucks." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I know how to fix that. So yeah, we can deal with that." And so then I created a back end offer to help folks who, they've gone through and they've really dialed in their audience and their offer and their messaging. And now they need help with implementation of the systems that can help scale that stuff for them. So that's on the back end. So just know when you go through boot camp, and you get to the end, we don't just like cut you off and say, okay, good luck. There are options for you to keep getting support. But let's talk about boot camp proper. Like, what is it? Who is it for? What can you gain from it? And so, boot camp is really about implementation, and that's why it's called boot camp and not a course, right? In a course, you have this kind of mindset and expectation of like, oh, I'm going to come in, I'm going to watch these modules, and then everything's going to be dandy, right? But you have to actually implement, and in a boot camp, you have to go in and you have to perform. So, one of the things that I worked really hard to do is to keep the number of recorded lessons as small as possible. It's really not about you coming in and, watching me yak about a bunch of things. It's about you coming in and getting these foundations. And the foundations, which I talk about all the time, are your offer, your audience, and your messaging. And so people come in, with different strengths and different struggles in those areas, but if you don't have those three things correct, then you're not going to see the results that you want. So in the beginning of boot camp, I have a lot of structured homework and exercises to really help you get clarity around that, right? What is your offer? And some people come in and, they're not excited about their offer and they end up creating new offer. Some people come in and their offer is like really close, but maybe they're not charging enough. Like we look at all of those things. And so once you've done that work, you've done a little bit of homework, then I meet one-on-one with folks to really dive in and make sure you have clarity, right? That you have an offer you feel good about, that you're charging appropriately for it, so that you can actually run your business and scale your business and support yourself, your team, if you want to build a team, um, and and then make sure that you're clear about who is this offer going to benefit the most, right? We're not just out here to try to get, clients just to be getting clients or to be desperate and like anyone with a body. Like that's what I used to do when I sold $500 websites. I want you to get clients who are amazing, who are fun to work with, who bring you joy, who make you just like spring out of bed every day, like really excited to help them. So, those are the people that we focus on. Those are the people that I want to help you talk to so that you can draw in those people because it's going to be the same amount of work no matter what, right? So, you might as well just go for the people that you really, really want and that you're going to have fun with. And that also makes your marketing easier, right? And you can strip off some of these marketing rules and some of these sort of bro led tactics that maybe are being taught around here and really figure out what works for you, like what makes you feel good, what makes you excited to come out and share your message. So those are all things that we get clear on in your one-on-one. And then the rest of boot camp, the majority of the 12 weeks is really structured around helping you implement. So we have a coaching call once a week, and that is like a touchstone, right? If you're having issues, if you have questions, if you have a win you want to celebrate with the community, you can come to that coaching call and we'll talk about it, right? And we'll make sure that you don't get stuck in any one place for very long. And I love that coaching call. It's one of the best hours of my work week because we always go in and we start with sharing wins. And for some people, one of the things that they really get out of boot camp is learning to focus more on their wins, because when you focus on wins, that begets more wins, right? And we as humans, we're kind of wired for negativity, and we're wired to notice and remember the things that went wrong. Right. And that's just going to get you more of that, right? What you focus on grows. So we focus on wins, and we focus on how do you get more of the wins that you want. The other thing we have is a private community. So our private community is clients only. It's comprised of people who are going through boot camp and people who are going through our done for you programs, because they get all that support available to them as well. And so the community is awesome because now you can post anytime if you have a question, you want to get feedback on something. I'm not the only brain that is in this thing that's here to help you. The community is full of amazing people who are all on very similar journeys, and we help and support each other. So that is one thing that is a real benefit to being in boot camp. And it's not a ginormous, overwhelming group. Like, it's a small, intimate community where you can really get to know people. So that's one of the things. And what else? Let's talk about who is this for, right? My focus is really on mission driven, service based business owners, particularly women of color. I'm a Black woman. I really want to see other Black women and other women of color get the support they need in their businesses, because typically it's really hard for us and we don't get as much support as maybe the other populations. So I really, really want to invite you, if you're watching this and you're a woman of color, or if you know someone who might need this opportunity, to share this video. And let me start putting up some links here. Um, if you are interested in learning more about Bootcamp and you want to check out the sales page, you can go to carveldigital.com/bootcamp. So if you're someone who learns better by reading and you want to really dive into the information, you can go to that page. It has the pricing on there, has the payment plan, has frequently asked questions, all that good stuff is on there. So carveldigital.com/bootcamp if you want to do that. If you know some of you have had me on your bucket list, your vision board, whatever, and you're like, okay, now is the time. I want to set myself up for 2022. You can go apply to work with us. And so you can go to carveldigital.com/apply. And the process is, ever evolving. But at this point in time, when you go to that link, you'll either get invited to a specific time that I set aside during the week to talk with folks who are interested in working with us, or you'll get my Voxer username. So you can use Voxer, which is a walkie-talkie type app, and we can talk asynchronously, because we're all busy and we're all in various time zones, and we all have different responsibilities and things that we have to take care of. So that just makes it so that we can talk at times that work for us. And I want to make sure you get all your questions answered. And here's the thing. I structured this program to teach people how to use content to sell their service. And at this point, we have, 8.5 years worth of content about what we do. And we have a podcast called Begin As You Mean to Go On. You can go check that out. Like, there is plenty enough content for you to become 95% sure whether this is something that you want to pursue. And that last mile is just, we got to get in sync and talk to each other and make sure that, the vibe is there and we're going to be a good fit. So that's what those calls are for. It's not for people who are like super unsure or they want to be talked into it. Like, I'm not here to talk you into anything. Okay. I'm here to support people who know that this is something that they need and they want to get the right support, and they like what they've heard so far, what they've seen so far in my content, and just need to go that last mile. So you can check out the podcast, you can apply, you can go to the sales page. So who is it not for? I'll tell you the people who don't do well in boot camp, and I do my best to kind of screen so that they don't make it in. But if you're not willing to implement, right, this is not a course. It's not something that, you get to have that dopamine hit because you made an investment and then think that's going to get you results. It's you make the investment, and that is the beginning of the journey. And then you have to get your money's worth out of that investment by actually applying what you learn. So if you're someone who typically, does really well and kind of knows what you want and just needs that guidance to know that you're actually doing the right things, you don't want to stop throwing spaghetti at the wall, then it's going to be great for you. But if you're someone who typically, joins a lot of things and doesn't implement, or really has to kind of be dragged kicking and screaming to implement, again, not what I'm here for. I'm here to support people who really know what they want, and they just want to take the shortcut. They want someone who's been there and done that to give them the shorter path, to guide them around the potholes, so they can get results quicker. And that's what I'm here to do. So if you're someone who does like to implement, like me, when I have decided on a goal, um, and I find the person who I trust to help me reach that goal, then I become very coachable and I do exactly what they say. And if you're on my email list, you know that because I just sent an email about that, about listening to a podcast and then immediately implementing what they advised on the podcast. So if you are that kind of person, then we're going to get along really well, and you should definitely apply. And I'll put that link up again. Um, so I talked a little bit about the structure. We have our weekly coaching call. We have our private client group. We have our recorded lessons, and those are all hosted in Member Vault. And I can show you a little bit behind the scenes of what that looks like. So what happens when you actually decide to join and you actually join is, you immediately go into the onboarding system, which is 99% automated. So you don't have to wait for anything. You'll get an email with your contract to sign. As soon as you do that, you'll get an email with your access to our member vault. And this is actual boot camp, and the lessons in there are really about getting started, setting yourself up for success, about how organic content marketing works, right? Really diving into, what does organic content marketing mean and how can it apply to your business. We also talk a little bit about sales foundations. So if you're someone who's like, you're really good at drawing people to you, and then you're like, what do I say to make the sale? Then we have some lessons for you, that just go over the basics of that. I'm not a sales expert, I'm not a sales coach, but I've learned enough, and whatever I learn, I like to pass on. So there are some lessons around that, and then a little bit of technical. We try not to get too technical in boot camp. We're really focused on the messaging and helping you dial that in, because once you do that, then my goal is for you to really raise your revenue to the point where you can hire someone to do the tech. A lot of my clients are not technically minded, and so they really struggle to DIY some of the technical pieces. And so our goal is to get 100 service-based business owners to consistent 20K months, because at that point, then you can really start to hire experts and hire other people to do the things that you really shouldn't be doing, you don't like doing, you're not good at, all that kind of stuff. So that's a little bit what you actually get inside of bootcamp. One of the things people might wonder is like, how is this different from, all the other sort of dude bro marketing that's out there? And, you know, the thing I'll say about that is that there are some marketing principles that I really abide by, and that's what we focus on. So there's I know some of you has suffered from some of this bad marketing where it's like you connect with someone, they're instantly in your DMs saying, like my Facebook page, or do this or do that, or join my webinar or whatever. And that's like trying to propose marriage on the first date. So good marketing is about building relationships, and relationships equals interactions over time. So how do you have those conversations? How do you spark those interactions? How do you invite people into your world and then put the right content in front of them at the right time? Those are kind of the principles. Within that, there are so many different ways to do it, right? If you hate video, then don't use video, right? Use audio, use text. And so you and I get to explore and figure out like what are the mediums that you really do the best in, and how can we maximize that and maximize your talents with respect to, how you do your marketing. So there's lots of ways to do it. And for those of you who are kind of sick of the social media hustle, one of the things that I'm really focused on is setting people up so that you can start to automate this stuff, so that your marketing can be based around assets that you own. And by that I mean your website, right, where you can actually get the data on how your content is working, your email list and your CRM, where you can get the data on how people are opening and clicking and responding to your emails. um, Social media is a great channel to gather new people into your world, but you have to have somewhere for them to go. So actually, envisioning and creating that customer journey, and then knowing what assets you need in order to make that happen, is something that we focus on in Bootcamp. Um, all right. So if anybody is live and has questions, I'm happy to answer those. I want to keep this pretty short. As far as results, if you want to see what some other people's experiences have been in boot camp, let me put up this link. Um, you can go to carveldigital.com/love, and you can see some of the testimonials and some of the experiences from folks who have gone through boot camp. You can also come check out our service CEOs group. If you go to carveldigital.com/CEO, that will take you to the link of our free Facebook group, and you can join there and you can ask what other people's experiences have been. Lots of past clients are in that group, lots of current clients are in that group. So you can come and ask. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how amazing it is, because that's for you to decide. But if you want to hear it from people who have gone through it, by all means, come and ask. Um, Another big thing before we wrap up is people wonder, what is the right time? Like, is this the right time? And what's the time commitment? And one of my clients said one of the best things, which is that boot camp is a container for you to be doing the things you should already be doing in your business. So you already need to do marketing. Like, you have to. You can't have a business, you can't make sales without doing marketing. You already have to do it. So Bootcamp is a container where you can streamline your marketing, where you can dial in your marketing, where you can get support doing the things that you already should be doing. So as far as time commitment, it's going to depend where you're at in your business and what kind of support you have in your business, whether you have a team, all kinds of things like that. But I can tell you that the things that you're going to be doing are the things you should be doing anyway. So if you've been doing them or trying to do them or not doing them, and you've been struggling, then this container is going to help you to be more strategic and more effective, and get results faster. So, and whether it's the right time really depends on, you know, are you ready to solve the problem? If this is something you've been struggling with in your business and you are ready to solve the problem, then that makes it the right time. And you should come and you should apply, and we should have a conversation. So, I hope that was super helpful. And for those of you who want to talk further, I look forward to talking with you, and I'll see you soon.